Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic.
What's really dangerous but everyone treats it like it's safe? Sunburns would be treated much differently if they were called by their true name, radiation burns. I will now only be calling them radiation burns. I read these comments as side burns, and was very confused for a moment. I will call side burns radiation burns from now on. Driving. Driving also makes walking super dangerous in my city. I don't have a car where I live, and I almost got hit by a car that blew the red light yesterday. Cars are constantly speeding here, even on residential streets, blowing stop signs and red lights. I always have to hesitate before I cross, even if I have the walk sign. No one does shit. As a truck driver, I feel this to my core. Not many people realize how your entire life and the lives of so many others can change in an instant when you take your eyes off the road. I've seen far too many fatalities on the road in my 5 years as a truck driver. I particularly hate the ones who have main character syndrome and treat the highway as an obstacle course, weaving through traffic to get 20 feet ahead. Long hair around pulleys and belts. There's a YouTube channel where two young ladies are working around a sawmill with long hair. And I can't count how many times people have begged them in the comments to tuck their hair up. They don't. In 11th grade, one had hair down to my butt and was weirdly pretty good at working the horizontal lathe. At my school, tons of rotating parts, it's used to cut and shave down pieces of metal. I had my hair in a ponytail instead of a bun and I thought someone was pulling my hair, and then my head slammed down to the machine and within like 3 seconds my hand broke cause I put my hand in to save my hair. My classmate pulled the plug on the machine and saved my life. Saving this comment to show the kids in my class that cannot grasp the concept of danger involved in using a lathe. I like to tell them that you can quickly become human mince. Edit. Hey, sir, I went to my bed and this blew up. I will be incorporating loads of your comments into my health and safety lectures. Rants. Going forward. Thank you. And for those who suggested the Russian lathe video. 1.
Yes, of course I have seen it.
2. My seniors, 15 plus years old, are all recommended to, really. Please, don't go and Google it without a safe search, or, to speak to their Reddit using pals about lathe safety. Wild animals. I was in Thailand when a 30-year-old got bitten by a monkey. Her complaint, no one had warned her not to pet the monkeys. Honest to God, the wild animal acted naturally. The true danger here was her stupidity. I would argue that, as a stupid person, she also acted naturally. Infections. Every person reacts differently to them. Don't assume you are the average. Sepsis is no joke. Met a woman and her husband in 2018 at a show, nice people. Few months later she messaged our group chat and her husband had died of sepsis. He'd been sick but refused to go to the hospital because of expenses. In the end, he lost his life trying to save money. He was only in his early 30s too. Compressed air. I was once putting air in a car tire while on a road trip with a friend. After filling the last tire I handed him the tube and started screwing on the cap. For some dumb fucking reason. He thought it would be funny to stick the air tube in my ear and turn it on. I couldn't hear out of that ear for like 20 minutes and it hurt so fucking much. I probably should have gone to the hospital but the pain went away almost instantly and my hearing came back, so I just didn't fucking go. I would have definitely had to call an ambulance if that had happened to me. For what I'd do to any friend who purposefully tried to damage my hearing like that. Holy shit, there was a story about this guy working in a factory where they had industrial power air compressors. One of them was pressure activated. Think like balloon compressors where you just press the balloon down and it pushes air out. And put out like a gajillion sigh. This guy tripped, fell with his ass cheek on the nozzle. The nozzle penetrated his skin and, get this, separated all of his skin from his fucking muscles. All around his body. Nightmare inducing. Edit. Can't find the original story. But the same exact scenario happened to this guy. https www.google.com/amp/s/www.bbc.com/news/world-asia-pacific-135370840.amp. I've been told a story where a bunch of kids were messing around with compressed air and stuck the air gun up to their friend's asshole and pulled the trigger. Blew his intestines up and killed him. That was coming from my son's grandpa. Those bullshit carny rides at state fairs. But the thrill of it all. The rusty bolts shaking looking like they're about to snap off. Everything just being plugged in with some frayed extension cords from the 90s. Or the chain smoking operator who looks like he's been awake for 48 hours from drinking or drugs. How could not feel safe with all of that? That is part of the experience. I can't remember who, but someone told child me that the traveling rides are safer because they inspect them more often. Due to being disassembled and reassembled so often. I don't ride anything since that large kid slid off that ride a couple years back. Years back I read somewhere on Reddit to pay attention to the lights on those rides. Every light bulb is supposed to be functioning to pass inspection. If they couldn't be asked to fix light bulbs, they probably didn't do a thorough inspection on the rest of the ride. Water on the road. You might be able to drive through it, but more often than not you shouldn't try to. My brother literally drives into the puddle. And the idiot even says that it's safer to go faster in him because the water separates. He hasn't had an accident yet. But if he does one day, the likelihood of it being because of that backward mentality is quite high. There is a slight grain of truth to this, although his logic is completely wrong. If you're going to traverse water, you should do so at speed so you can use the inertia to push yourself through when you start to lose traction on the tires. It's a lot harder to get going again than it is to stay going. What you're describing is speeding through a hydroplane, which is very, very stupid. Edit. Christ alive, people, if there is a chance of water coming in your intake, then the water is too high to traverse. You have to know your equipment and its capabilities and limitations. Your ability as a driver cannot stop physics.